Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Eureka Springs channel. We are our community channel here for Eureka Springs, Arkansas. And I thought I'd take this opportunity this particular week to showcase with you all the candidates that we have running for the sheriff of Carroll County. You're actually watching this on replay. We are filming this live with each candidate. And the candidates have not had an opportunity to see our questions for this particular segment. And in all fairness, none of the candidates have heard the questions. And so bear with them as they have a moment to think about their question and answer it. And we are also not streaming this live, so you are watching this on replay, but we are filming it live. So the first candidate that I would like to bring to your attention is Mr. Brad Handley, who is a resident here, and he is running for sheriff. And we have a set of questions that we're going to ask. The same questions will be asked of each candidate, and so we're going to get right to it and bring Brad onto the screen and give him an opportunity to get information out there to you about his opinion about things and how he intends to run for office and what he's going to be standing for. It's a great opportunity to learn about our candidates. Hi, Brad.
Hi there. How are you?
Good. I thank you for doing this, and thank you also for your willingness to run for public office. It's not for the faint of heart, but we do appreciate all individuals who are running in the race and putting their hat in the ring to bring good leadership to our county. It's an important role.
Yes, it is an important role, and thanks for having us.
Yes. Thank you so much. I'm going to go right to the questions. These questions have been submitted by our community at large. Some people sent me in questions right away. We're interested in learning more about our candidates, so this is a great opportunity for you to get to those questions. So I'm going to go right to the questions. The first question I have for you is, over the last few years, our homeless population has increased. As sheriff of the county, what role do you play in providing assistance, and what do you think you'll be able to do for this particular population?
That's a good question, and you're correct. Our homeless population has gotten larger. The homeless, I don't know how the right wording for this. Homeless people need help. And as the sheriff of the county, I would like to institute some programs with Couple Love Ministry and some of the others that I've been speaking with in our area churches to try to get some kind of a fund put together. Several years ago, we actually had something where we could make phone calls even at 2 o'clock in the morning to some of our local preachers, and they would actually help put somebody up in a hotel room for a night, get them some food. We need to get that back going again. I would love to see an actual shelter here in Carroll County. And I'm already looking into that, and I'd like to look into it some more. If I get elected sheriff, I'd really like to look into it. There are some grants out there that I'd like to apply for to try to get it, to try to provide some housing for some of these people. So that's the thing I'm going to work on the most as far as the homeless go, is get with the local churches, Couple of Ministry, and some of the other ministries to try to help to get a program going to where we can provide some aid to these people.
Thank you very much. And our next question. We are living in a digital age where many people get their information from various forms. How do you see your responsibility when it comes to social media from both a personal standpoint and also as a sheriff's department?
On a personal standpoint, I am not personally a big fan of social media. That being said, I know that it is a very important part of life today. So as far as like sheriff campaigning, that kind of stuff, my businesses, I have a couple of people that help me with it because I'm not just the best in the world on social media. As a sheriff's department, I think we should take advantage of any social media outlet that we can. I think that the Facebook would be an awesome tool to get information from people to help us to solve crimes that have been committed, or even a crime that somebody's thinking about committing. If they post it on Facebook, if people would be able to get a hold of the sheriff's department and say, hey, this guy's posting, then we could actually follow that also. So I know that it's a very important tool that we should use. So one of the things that I would like to do is actually have a public information officer that would be concentrating on things like that and reaching out to the public. That's a very important thing that we need to do, and I think we can get it going fairly easily.
Thank you, Brad. Our next question is pretty basic. So, what skills and experience make you qualified to lead not only your staff, but to the community at large in this position?
Okay. I started my law enforcement career in 1991. In 1993, I transferred to Carroll County, Arkansas, working for the Carroll County Sheriff's Office. I worked there until 1997. In 1997, I went to work at Green Forest Police Department, where I worked as the Assistant Chief of Police and Head of Criminal Investigations. While I was there, John Bailey was the chief for the majority of the time I was there. And he and I sat down and talked about the need for some advanced law enforcement training for Carroll County. And I was blessed that Green Forest was willing to help send me to schools all over the United States for this. So I went to a lot of different classes to learn a lot of different techniques in solving crime. After that, when I got back to all these classes, I implemented it and put them out on the street. Chief Bailey, he was a go-getter too, so he actually worked with me, and we were able to control the crime rate in Green Forest very well. We had a 98% solving rate of our criminal activity in Green Forest, which is a really good average. So during that time at Green Forest, I was assistant chief. So I learned line item budgets, how to make and actually maintain a budget. I learned supervising skills for patrol division and for criminal investigation division. After that, I went to Eureka Springs Police Department, where I was a detective and held the rank of sergeant, and ended my career as patrol supervisor. So all in all, I have about 20 years of supervisory experience in law enforcement. And when I say supervisory experience, I don't mean just making schedules. I mean out there on the street with the officers, actually teaching them the proper way to police. So I feel like I have enough experience and training to actually run the entire department, from the jail to the patrol division to the criminal investigation division, dispatch, all of it, from budget all the way to making sure they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate that answer. Our next question is, what do you see as the number one problem for our county, and what do you plan to implement to change or improve it?
I think our number one problem in law enforcement in Carroll County is lack of transparency. There's not enough community policing. One of the primary goals I have is to create some community policing agendas, such as neighborhood watch programs, deputies out in the county making contact with people and asking what's going on in their neighborhood. It's real simple. If you want to solve crime and you want to protect your citizens, the first step is gaining the trust of the citizens. If a citizen trusts you, they will tell you what they've heard, they will tell you what they've seen, and you're not going to solve crime sitting behind a desk on the telephone. You have to get out there and make contact with these people and let them know that you care about what's going on. And once you gain that trust back, you'll be able to start solving crimes, thefts, narcotics, whatever the crime is. You cannot work criminal cases sitting in an office all day. It just does not work. You cannot solve criminal cases by going to class after class after class. You have to implement what you've learned in the class, and you have to depend on the citizens of the county. And I'll tell you, Melody, the citizens of Carroll County, they want to be protected. They want to have a police department that they can trust. I don't think it will take very long at all to regain the trust of the citizens of Carroll County if you just put forth the effort and let them know that you actually care what's going on where they live. When you say Carroll County, it's a big county. One guy that's stealing over in Holiday Island may not be stealing over in Oak Grove or down in Osage, but those people down there have thefts also, and so if they'll have an idea who's doing it, because one thing about criminals is they like to talk about what they did, and these people hear it, and that garners leads. But if they don't trust the sheriff's department enough to tell them or to actually talk to them, or if the sheriff's department doesn't ever go out there and make contact with these people and visit with them, um, the sheriff's department's never going to know who did it. And I think that is a very important part of law enforcement, and it is sorely needed in Carroll County. Years ago, we had that. We had that rapport, and crimes were solved. It's just stopped over the last few years, and it's time to get it back in. So that's going to be my primary objective as far as the patrol and criminal investigation division. Another thing that we need is some cold case files worked. There's a lot of open cases and unsolved cases in Carroll County. We need experienced detectives that's willing to come on and work these cold cases. Cold cases are a lot harder to work than a fresh case, but they can still be worked. It just takes effort. And then also, you have to have communication with your area police departments and with your prosecuting attorney's office. Your people need to be trained on how to work a case well enough that the prosecutor can actually prosecute the case. And once again, when I say training, I'm not talking about just classroom training. I'm talking about supervisors that know what they're doing to help detectives and patrolmen to put a case together well enough to write up an affidavit that can be presented to a prosecutor, that can be presented to a judge with enough evidence to prosecute the case. And that's another thing that we're going to work on. And finally, another thing that I want to see is when COVID hit, everybody went to taking calls on the phone as much as possible because of the pandemic. Nobody wanted to get sick, and I understand that. But it is time for us to get back out in the street and answer calls, irregardless how trivial the call seems to the deputy. If it's important enough for a person to call the sheriff's office, then to them it's important enough for a deputy to respond and take a report. And we're going to start that back up too, because that, like I said, sitting behind a desk answering a telephone is not going to solve crime. So we're going to get that back going again too. So I guess to answer your question in a shortened version, my primary thing is going to be community-oriented policing. It's past due, and we need it back in our county.
Okay, thank you for that. Appreciate that answer. My next question from the community is, when it comes to leadership, how would you describe your style, both within your staff but also the community at large as far as leadership?
When I retired in law enforcement in 2017, I opened up a security company. In less than 4 years, it turned into a 4-state wide company. I do this by being hands-on. I'm not going to be a sheriff that's going to sit in a suit and tie behind a desk. That's just not who I am. I'm going to be in the field with my people. I'm going to be making contact with people. I'm going to be talking to citizens. I would never expect any of my deputies to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. I don't expect any of my people that work for me now, which I have 50 employees, and I do not expect any of them to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. I think that that's a very important, is to lead by leadership, by example, not sitting in behind a desk and telling other people what to do. Anybody can do that. To be successful in law enforcement, you need to be in the field. You need to be working. I'll be accessible. If somebody wants to see me, they can call me, and if I'm out in the field, I will drive back to the sheriff's office and meet them and talk to them. If they want me to come to their house, I'll come to their house. We're never going to get it back to the state that it needs to be in by sitting in the office all day. So I am a leader that leads by example, and I go out and get in the mud with my people. I don't believe in sitting there telling other people to do stuff.
Okay. Thank you, Brad. Appreciate that. Our next question from the community. With the significance of the LGBTQ population of Carroll County, what do you see as your role in the way of leadership of your staff in consideration of this community?
I don't have any kind of issues with anybody. I don't care who you love or how you love. It's none of our business. It's none of the sheriff's department's business or any law enforcement officer's business. All people should be treated equally. In my administration, everybody will be treated equally. None of that has anything to do with criminal law. if they break the law, whether they're gay, straight, it doesn't matter. They broke the law. I don't believe in passing judgment on people based on who they love. I just think that's silly. It's actually a hard question for me to answer because, to be honest with you, Melody, I don't even comprehend how that can even be a factoring issue. I mean, I know that it is, but for me, it just absolutely is not. And I will not tolerate any of my people that have any kind of prejudice whatsoever towards anybody.
Thank you, Brad. The next question from the community is, what are your plans for drug enforcement? And what solutions can you provide to those who do have addictions?
Okay, that's a two-part question. So the first part, as far as drug enforcement, I've already talked to all the police departments in our county. And the first thing we're going to do, I've also talked to the prosecuting attorney about this. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to implement a local task force. All police departments and the sheriff's department all have the same goal. And so, therefore, we should all work together to accomplish that goal and try to slow down the influx of narcotics. One person cannot work narcotics by themselves. One department cannot work narcotics by themselves. I mean, granted, they can take care of some of the drug buys or drug problems that they have in their area. But if you put it all together on a grander scheme of things and they all work together, a lot can be accomplished. I've done this for over 17 years. So I have the experience and I have the capability of making sure that that is done. So we're going to try to do the task force of our own, try to get it put together, all work as a team and try to stop some of the narcotics that are coming in. That being said, the second part of that question, you talk about addicts. So let me explain to you what I've learned in law enforcement with a drug addict. Um, Court mandated drug courts and that kind of stuff, it works sometimes, but it doesn't work enough. The biggest problem we have is arresting the same people over and over and over and over again for possession. They dig themselves a hole that they can't dig out of. They're on probation, they have fines, they have court costs, then you see them for failure to appear, failure to pay the fines. It's just a never ending cycle. Um, One of the things that I'm going to implement is, which I've already talked to Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, and they have a program that's just incredible. That used to go into the jail and they would meet with people and offer them help. But what made it even better was when they got out, these people made contact with them and said, hey, let's go get a cup of coffee and sit down and talk and try to get them some help after they're out on bond or cited out or whatever has happened, before they have a chance to get back into the same cycle. And I mean, it's a pipe dream if you say that every person they talk to is going to get their help and never be on drugs again. I mean, that's just simply not true. Um, but if we get one person out of 1,000 that will take the help and clean up themselves, then that's a victory. You can't continue to just keep incarcerating these people over and over and over without offering them some kind of help. Now, if they're in possession of methamphetamines or heroin or opiates or whatever it is, and they get stopped and it's found and they get arrested, they need to be arrested for that. I'm not saying don't arrest the people that you know are a drug addict. A crime is still a crime, but you need to offer them a way out, offer them some help. The program I just spoke of used to go on and it quit, and we're going to re-implement that. And then there's some other programs that I'm looking into to try to get some people some help. And our Carroll County has some drug rehab centers, and a lot of people are taking advantage of them. But there's a lot of people that's not, and you have to understand until they're ready to get the help themselves, you can talk to them and talk to them and talk to them until they decide to do it. There's really nothing anybody can do, but you have to make it available for them. So we're going to make it available for them. Like I said, if one person out of 1,000 help, then it's a victory.
Thanks, Brad. And our final question from the community is, what are the top priorities that are needed for Carroll County in the way of handling a natural disaster or a man-made disaster?
Okay, the top priority for that, once again, goes to working together. Carroll County has an untapped resource in volunteer people. This county, I love this county, and the reason why I love this county is there's so many people willing to step up and help from every walk of life. If we have a natural disaster and we actually have a team in place that we can start calling out people to help, I think everybody would be amazed at how well things would go in a natural or a man-made disaster, people will step up, and I know they'll step up because I've met them, I've talked to them. They're great people. I mean, a perfect example is our volunteer firefighters. Look how these guys will get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and go to some horrific car accidents, see stuff that'll traumatize them for life. A house fire, they'll work till 4 or 5 in the morning, then they'll go and work their regular job all day, just exhausted. They're willing to do this all the time. So if you put together a program for emergency response for natural or man-made disaster, we're going to get a lot of volunteers that are willing to do that, and I really think that would help us quite a bit in something like that. I hate to even think that something like that would ever happen, but realistically, something like that can happen. I mean, look at Springdale with the tornado that hit. It can happen here also. But the citizens of Carroll County, they have good hearts, and they would be more than happy to step up and help whatever they needed to do. All they need is a leader to put together.
All right. Thanks, Brad. That concludes all the questions that were submitted from the community, and I do appreciate you taking the time to do this and to reach out to folks in this particular way. So thank you for that. I would like to take at this time if there would be anything else that you would like to add to this conversation that we're having today. Anything else that you'd like to say to the community at this time?
Those questions were pretty good questions. They answered I hope I answered them right. They asked some really good questions. So as far as having something to add, I really can't think of anything that I need to add. If you're looking for experience, I've got the experience, and I would like to have the opportunity to serve you as your sheriff.
All right. Thanks, Brad. We appreciate you. And along with all the candidates, we appreciate all those who are willing to step up and to serve our citizens. Like I said earlier at the beginning of this conversation, it is not for the faint of heart to take on such a large task. And we appreciate all those out there that are willing to give up their time and kindness to help our citizens. And thank you again today for taking the time to do this with us here. And good luck, and we'll see you next time. And thank you again for all your time today. We appreciate you.
Nodi, thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, sir. You have a good day now. Thanks. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, so be sure and join us for our next segment. We'll be interviewing another candidate for sheriff here shortly. We will have that on our schedule that you'll be able to tune in and watch that live stream. We will be presenting them we filmed, like I've said, we filmed all these particular segments, and we'll be presenting their answers to you here in the community. Thank you for supporting Eureka Springs channel. You can like, subscribe, and follow us. We're trying to serve our community in the best way we can by providing you with the information from the candidates so that you are an informed voter here in Carroll County. Thanks again to our candidates, and let's all make sure that we stay informed and put the best foot forward for our future of Carroll County. Thanks again for watching us, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye, guys.